As a matter of fact, that was.
No more room in hell. The dead will walk here.
Welcome to Fright Night. You're watching Horror Fiend TV's Three Corners of Horror 80s Retro Review, baby. My name is Ricky Grimes, here with my two brothers. First, the man, the legend, El Jefe, JR. What up, son?
Hey, going back in time, doing a nice little flick, but just like other classics, did this one actually survive and look better decades later?
And Joe the psychologist, my boy, my brother from another mother. What's good, son?
What's good? I'm looking forward to this one because, unlike JR, it's been, I don't know, at least 20 years for me, and this one sunk its fangs into me.
Yeah, 20 years. Whew.
At least.
It's been a while for me too, man. I'll be honest. I'm working on memory right now. I didn't get a chance to rewatch it, but I've seen it so many times over the years, but not anytime recently, unfortunately. Fuck you, Pluto TV. We're gonna be discussing the 1985 classic Fright Night, directed by Tom Holland. Not that motherfucker. This motherfucker. The film stars Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster, Amanda Bierce as Amy Peterson, and Roddy McDowell as Peter fucking Vincent. JR, I'm gonna throw to you. We kind of touched upon it a little bit, but 20 years for Joe. You said 10 years for you? You know, when was the last time you saw this film, man? What do you think about it upon rewatching it?
No, when you guys brought it up, I don't remember when was the last time I watched it because there was no way I was going to watch the remake because I knew the remake was not going to be close.
It wasn't that bad, but not as good as this.
No.
Did you see the CGI in that film today?
It shows you how the practical effects of the classic just trounced the freaking remake alone. But yeah, it's been a while. And then when I started watching it, I'm like, holy crap. I mean, it's one of these films that during the times it came out, it was a time where we had the horror movies that they weren't serious. They had a little bit of soft comedy, a little bit of, interesting characters, but this was one of them because I think this was around the time we had Teen Wolf too.
Yep.
So it was that type of comedy where slight comedy horror, but yeah, when I started watching, I was like, oh my god, look at it. It's Marcy Darcy from Married with Children.
Marcy Darcy.
That's what I was just looking up. I'm like, what was her name on My Children?
No, Married with Children.
That show,
yes,
my top 5 all time.
Oh, I love that show.
Definitely, but no, it was
I'm still a fan of Jefferson though. Jefferson Darcy.
Jefferson Darcy's
Marcy Darcy.
Marcy Darcy. No, but it's a good film. It's a great film for its time, and like I joked around, they lasted time, decades later. But no, it's one of these films that it is one of the best vampire films for its time, and you could watch it now, and practical effects are still amazing on it. I mean, before we came on, there was a little, thing I talked to you about, but I mentioned it later. But yeah, I mean, long time, but yeah, it's definitely kind of glad we Joe brought this one up to talk about.
Yeah, good shit.
No, actually, it was Rick.
Oh, it was Rick.
This is Rick's. Yeah.
Rick.
Brentfield was mine.
Yeah. Listen, you mentioned practical effects, and that's the difference between practical effects and CGI.
Yep.
Bad CGI, even to a certain extent, good CGI will still age over time, but a good practical makeup effect will last a lifetime. Timeless. You said it. American Werewolf in London. We got the Fright Night. The practical effects in this movie still to this day look freaking incredible, bro. So, Joe, let me ask you. So you said 20 years. So
and it's actually like I don't think I've been with Adam now almost 21 years. So I don't think I've watched this since I've been with him. So it's got to be more than that, to be honest with you. But it's not one I never forgot. But when I was rewatching it, and you guys know my one rule, if the phone is in my hand and I'm looking shit up and I'm messaging, I think it was for this one. I may have texted Rick and was like, I forgot how good this was. And then I put the phone back down. Literally, like I'm sitting there like, wow, this is so good. Like you guys said, the practical effects still hold up. There's a couple of little ones that are a little on the cheesier because again, it's called aging. But overall, dude, I love the story. I love the characters. And there were still again moments I sat there and like when you're watching a home you're like and you hold your breath because you're waiting for stuff. Like, and it's been that long and I still got that effect of it. So it shows you that the movie as a whole still holds up. And 85, damn. So what? It's gonna be 30 years? No. Shit. 40 years in about 2 years? Is that right on my math? Holy crap. So I mean, we're talking about a movie
85,
almost
1 year before Master of Puppets was released.
So that's getting that old too. But I mean, again, we're talking about a movie that in a couple years it's going to hit 40 years.
Yeah.
And still holds up. Not many, especially with CGI movies, hold up to that for as long. And I was so glad that you brought this one up. I was like, really, Fright Night? I'm like, well. And then I was watching it and I'm like, damn, this is a good movie. But this is what's been great. We've been talking a couple old ones as of late. And it's great to, introduce you guys if you haven't seen these movies or refresh your memory and go check it out again because you're going to love the movie just as much as you loved it when you saw it maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago.
The reason why this film holds up so well, and not just talking practical effects, but it's 1985, but it wasn't like a lot of these 80s movies or movies now that try to replicate 80s, they got the bright clothing and everything so like in your face, but people seem to misunderstand that the 80s, especially from 80 to 85, let's say, it's still a lot of carryover from the 70s, a lot of muted colors and just the clothing and just the aesthetic essentially. So this movie felt like an actual 80s film, not a movie. It's you see it now and it's like it feels natural in a sense, and the characters are all realistic. They're all for the most part likable to an extent, and the ones that aren't supposed to be. I know what JR is gonna say about Evil Ed, so I'll get to him. But it's a timeless film. It's a time capsule when you think about it. I think this movie personifies the 80s for me. It's right 85, so it's right in the middle. And it's shot in a way where it's just you're living in that world, I love it. And then of course Chris Sarandon as Jerry was fucking awesome. He worked with Tom Holland before. What was that movie? Class of 84. 84. Oh my god, awesome film. You seen it, Joe?
Yeah.
Awesome film, dude.
Remember, I'm the old one in the group. I have seen movies a bunch of times, and I've seen
Fox
a lot.
was in that too.
Yep.
If you haven't seen Class of '84, I believe it's on Shudder still. Give it a watch. And the director Tom Holland, obviously, Chucky, he did Child's Play, but Fright Night was his first directorial film.
Yep.
Because he wrote a lot of stuff before that, obviously, like '84. But Tom Holland's he's a horror guy, man. He was in Hatchet 2, I believe. He's also an actor, so. Shout out to that. But yeah, let's get back. Jerry Dandridge, man. This guy is very charismatic, seductive. I mean, this dude was, I believe, an actor 14 years already in the business before this movie. And this was a gamble for an actor of his stature to take this role. And it paid off because this film it's legendary, bro. So what do you think, Joe? His portrayal as a vampiro. A vampire. What do you think? How did he affect you, man? Let me ask you. Wait, would he seduce you, Joe? Would you fall under his spell?
Nah.
Yeah, he would.
No.
He got to Evil Ed, man.
No, he got to Evil Ed. No, not him. I mean, I was looking because I was like, would I? Just funny because like all jokes aside, like when you see watch vampires and they're supposed to entrance you, like I was like, would I though fall? And I'm like, nah, because I don't think he's all that cute. I did find out though that he's Susan Sarandon's ex-husband, hence how Susan Sarandon got her last name. I did not know that. I actually thought that they were brother and sister, like the way that some other actors are. But dude, he did a kick-ass job. He like so one of the things that I liked about the movie, it had a Alfred Hitchcock Rear Window type of feel to it.
Good shout.
You know, so as I'm watching it, I'm like, wow, it's nice. They were like throwing, a shout out to Rear Window, which we've seen replicated with Disturbia, and then obviously when they redid the Fright Night. But
Abominable Horror Fiend driving theater first season. Check it out. Cheap plug.
But yeah, Chris did an awesome job because in the moments that for him to be scary, he was scary. I liked just how and I didn't find him seductive. It was just how manipulative and the way he did it, how flawless he was with it. He's probably, as far as if I'm going to put 80s, I mean, it's definitely behind Lost Boys for me, which is not a bad thing though, because if we're talking about like 80s horror, but he did a bang up job. The moments that he needed to be creepy, especially when he showed up into the room and fucking kicked Charlie's ass, like turned the knob on Mom's door to make sure she can't get out, and then went in there and fucked him up.
Awesome.
And the way he did it, you felt the ominous threat.
He was sending a message
that he was doing.
Don't fuck with me.
And for actor wise, for you to feel that as the viewer, that's a big thing, because that's why we watch horror. We actually want to feel that.
Joe, and do you know why he was able to go into Charlie's room and fuck him up?
Well, because he got invited in by Mom.
Yeah.
Because I think, and he probably came over there on the premise of, hey, I'm your neighbor. I just want to come and say hi. And Mom being Mom's, oh, come on in. I mean, that's all vampires. Like literally, like you never invite a vampire into your house. I mean, of course, we'll never know when you invite, people to your house, unless that person takes a little. Anyway,
JR, one thing you gotta never, ever have a welcome mat. Okay, we talked about that in Renfield. Bro, that's like the first rule. Take that shit out. No welcome mats. No welcome mats. How about you, JR? What you think of Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge?
You gotta remember the sequence before he was invited to the house was when Charlie was outside hiding in the bushes, and here he is eating an apple.
Oh, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off. You're right. You reminded me. Charlie was a fucking asshole for that, because Charlie was about to have sex for the first time with his cute girlfriend.
Yes.
And instead of having sex with his cute girlfriend, he's
worried about the dude living next door.
Yeah, that's come on.
Because he saw a coffin being brought in. I would be worried about that shit.
I wouldn't be worried about it.
I'd rather hit them skins.
You've been trying for a year. A year.
That is true.
I'm sorry, JR. Go.
Just got through the apple at him. Charlie got up and run, pushed his mom into the house, and then the next day he invites him. He gets invited over because of the scene that Charlie did the prior day. But I think this is why his character worked well in this film, because if it was like one of those like gory like vampire films, I don't think he would have took the role. But being that it was a fun script, for example, Joe talked about the scene in the Charlie's bedroom. He's beating his ass, and then the minute he hears Mom, he starts
look at that look.
Yeah, he's scared of Mom. Now, mind he had a pencil in his hand the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Going back and forth, scared of Mom. And think about the comical thing. Instead of pushing Charlie out the way to jump out the window, he went through the door and jumped out that window. I mean, that scenes like that are, people like ignore it, but that's funny. When I seen that, I was like, this dude could have just used that window, and he went to the hallway. Probably ran by Mom's door and jumped out the window anyways. But there were scenes of him, in his attire. I mean, this is a time where Miami Vice was big.
My God, the outfits.
So he had the Miami Vice outfit going on. And then he had those scenes where, I mean, the dude goes into a club to go after Charlie. Literally puts a hole in this dude's chest. Now, mind you, his whole thing was about, I don't want to be exposed. But Charlie got to the point where, like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna kill this dude. mess everybody up, who gets in my way in the club. But that's what I liked about his role. He was able to flip the switch of charming, a little comedic at times, and then when he needed to be vicious, he was vicious. But yeah, he did a good role as a vampire. The chemistry between him and Charlie, I think, was really good too. If they didn't have any chemistry, I think it would have been tough. But the fact that they had a very good chemistry, and
with Vincent,
yes, that scene with Vincent was hysterical. And Vincent drops the mirror. Is everything okay, Vincent? Yeah, everything's okay. It's clumsy and
he got out so quick after that.
Oh yeah, he did. I mean, yes. Like you saw, and again, I forget what the terminology is for you guys are the filmmakers, guys, not me. But when they showed you something, how that's going to come into play later on.
Chekhov's gun, bro.
All right. So when you saw the glass shard, you knew that he was going to find it and go, "Oh, god damn it, this motherfucker figured out that I'm a vampire."
Real quickly, yeah, you're right, GR. Before we move on, Roddy McDowell, his character obviously a play off of Peter Vincent.
It was supposed to be Vincent Price. Yes. Like
it's a play of Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Yes. Peter Vincent, very on the nose if you're a horror fan. Obviously, the Hammer films, definitely an inspiration for the script. I want to ask though, the cover behind you, the picture behind you. This is 1985. The Blockbuster. No, well, maybe not Block. When? Well,
it was a big stores. No. I mean, it wasn't.
But what I'm saying is the mom and pop video stores, whatever you go in near the horror section, you see a cover like that, it's gonna draw you in.
Yep.
Oh, it is.
Normally, a film when it draws you in and you rent a movie, you take them, you play it, it don't look nothing like that cover whatsoever. But this motherfucker, Tom Holland, delivered. Yeah. That was actually Amy. She looked exactly like that. So as advertised, you got what you paid for.
Yep.
And that's key. And the practical effects. I'm sorry. What?
It's true. Because when I rented that, and I think I mentioned it in the movies that fucked me up, it's closed. There used to be on East Ave. I saw that cover. I'm like, well,
it's iconic. That cover
and
is incredible.
I grabbed that because that's how we ended up seeing it because we rented it from that store.
Yeah.
That little video store. Brought it back, so it was me, Junior, and Nelson. This is when we used to hang out with Nelson. JR, I don't know if you remember
Nelson?
Him, but it's one of our cousins from along the way. But yeah, that's how we saw the movie. Was like literally like it was that cover, the cover on the VHS.
The younger viewers need to understand one thing though is now there was no social media back then, so we relied on just going into a store and looking at covers.
Visuals.
We didn't read publications as much back then until we got a little older, obviously. But you see that cover, it delivers, and the makeup on her especially, and on Vampire, Dandridge, and we're gonna talk Evil Ed, his transformation, his progression from where he started to where he ended. A fucking throwaway character, you may think, but such a tragic ending to his storyline. JR, let's talk about Evil Ed, man, because he is a big part of this film. When you think of Fright Night, what's the first images that pops into your mind? Evil Ed with the cross on his You know what's funny? You can't see it, but I actually have a scar at the cross right between my eyes. So when I saw Evil Ed, I was like, yeah, I can relate to this guy. So let's talk. Chat me up, brother.
See, if you was to make an Evil Ed character at these times, Evil Ed is like he was an outcast, a social outcast. He was always on the outskirts. And he was always looking to be accepted. Everything he did, the jokes he did, everything, his behavior was to be noticed. Then there was a scene where Jerry went hunting Evil. And Evil's, freaking out. He's scared. And all this dude told him was, just give me your hand. Just take my hand.
He was weak. He sensed it.
So willing to do it because that's all he ever wanted was to be accepted.
Yep.
And that's why I think his character is so overlooked. And his character was, if you would take all the characters between Amy, Charlie, and Evil was the one character throughout the film that actually continued to transform. His personality transformed. And then when he finally became the vampire, he was badass. But he was funny because they sent him to kill Vincent. And the minute Vincent put the cross on, he goes, why'd you do that? What'd you do? So it was almost like,
and Vincent's like, oh, I'm sorry.
And Vincent's like, tear coming in his eye. And
don't forget, Vincent was a showman. He was an actor. He
yeah.
wasn't like I'll get to Vincent later, bro.
Yeah, because remember, Evil called him out. You're phony. We all know you're phony.
Mm-hmm.
And he portrayed a character on television that Evil was a fan of, but he was phony. And the fact that, and that I think was one of the best scenes in the whole movie, even though me and you were talking about it prior to us coming on, that was like the longest death scene I've seen in a while, because it really lasted.
He was suffering, bro.
Yeah, he was slow motion. And the fact that, the whole time he's looking at Vincent like for help, and Vincent's just standing there like one tear coming out, tilts his head, another tear coming out. And this was just in pain until he finally. But yeah, I think Evil's character, I think, was the one complete character in the whole film.
So the Evil Ed character, the guy who plays him, I know I've seen him in something else before in the 80s, and the way that he spoke, his voice was similar in the role. So I think that the guy had like a speech, maybe a little impediment, which made the character could have been a little bit annoying. What was fun about him was that he was us. He was the horror person. Like when Charlie needed help, who did he turn to? And, with the cross, he's all the knowledge. I mean, he was us. So Evil Ed was us on the screen at the time when you're a horror person. Interesting enough, I was trying to, because now that you bring it up, I think this is the only vampire movie, because generally it's vampires and lichens. In this one, I mean, has there been another where a vampire turned into a wolf?
Yeah,
a vampire turns into a wolf. I personally cannot recall, but
me either. So Evil Ed.
Let's keep in mind that Dandridge, his assistant, turned into some kind of weird zombie. So.
But I mean, like for me, like this is.
I think the rules were out the window in this movie.
Generally, those two are kept separately as they fight each other. So when he turned into the wolf to fight Peter, and then get stabbed, yeah, I really enjoyed the practical effects on the Evil Ed wolf. I sat there and was just like, dude, I just finished talking, like sending you the video for American Werewolf in London, where I talked about the transformation and the, I guess, reverse transformation in here was fucking awesome. I love the effects. It was sad. It was sad because
very sad.
There was a little creep factor in the fact that Jerry was seducing a high school girl as in Amy, but Evil Ed was also a high schooler. So, I mean, if you put him in the age, he would have been like a 16, 17-year-old.
Which is wild to think about, bro.
Right. So we just witnessed a kid, as you guys said, during the times that we're all looking for acceptance, finding friends, he got seduced by Jerry and then found something and got a little, strength. It brought out his little evil side, his true evil side. And then he meets a very slow, agonizing death. I mean, it made you feel bad for his character. And as you guys said, when you think of this movie, you think of Evil Ed.
Yeah.
I, for some reason, said, "Oh God, I gotta watch this movie." And Evil Ed's in here. He's such an annoying character.
That's what I said earlier, yeah. But
I forgot that he could be just stupid. And then I watched it. I wasn't annoyed with him. It just literally just yeah. You guys simply well, not just that, but I saw myself in him. I was the same way he was in high school. So especially in the 80s, I'm from the 80s. So I was Evil Ed. And then just watching him die, and it was so sad. But the practical effects in that scene, as you guys, as said previously discussing, it was long, which made you feel even sadder for him because it wasn't quick for him. He just died really slow, and you just watched a kid at that time when JR and I saw this, and you guys, we all saw that we were on his age. Saw somebody our age die that way. So his character, another one that is synonymous with the movie, and now watching it all these years later in my mature brain, he's a great character and one that you feel really, really sorry for.
Let's close it out. JR, what you got to say about this film? Do you have any other you said you had a nitpick. Let's give you the mic for that.
No, the only nitpick I had in this film was, I mean, granted, it's comedy, but the fact that, you know, vampires usually don't bleed out much. And the fact that even when he's dying, there's a lot of blood there, like he's still alive, which technically he's dead.
But wait, though, had he killed anybody yet? Because you don't become a true vampire until you kill, isn't it?
That always fluctuates in vampire movies.
So I mean, he could have
mentioned earlier. I think this film took a lot of liberties with the
rules. It did. So it would have been his. It would have been his first kill. So he was still somewhat partly human.
No, because then he wouldn't transform.
But what we should be questioning is, if he's a vampire, why will he turn into a werewolf?
I know. Well, like I said,
he wouldn't be able to transform and all that stuff. You know, because technically he's still alive.
Yeah.
But that's my only nitpick. It was like, wow, that's a lot of blood for somebody who's dead. But, you know.
I mean, film's not perfect. You know, I mean, this stuff that you should watch it now, it doesn't age as well. But overall, I think it still holds up pretty good. So
no, it's still a fun film to watch. Like, I still will not watch the remake. I just refuse to watch the remake. I like Colin Farrell, but
it wasn't all that bad.
I'm not.
I saw the CGI in it.
But that was the only problem was the CGI.
Which is unfortunate. To go off topic, that's the thing I heard about the last voyage of to Demeter. Yeah, CGI is freaking terrible. But anyways, this film still stands the test of time. It's definitely a good film to watch. I wasn't a big fan of the Charlie character. I just didn't. His character just didn't do anything for me.
Joe, fun fact: Charlie Sheen actually auditioned for that role.
He should have gotten a role.
I don't know.
Charlie, man.
William Ragsdale, by the way, I told you,
pretty good.
William Ragsdale showed up in Renfield, and a lot of people don't even know that he's the priest in Renfield. So Charlie Brewster, William Ragsdale, still acting to this day, but he to me is like the everyman. He's like the dork. He's making stupid decisions.
He was the one that he's actually what the general guy for that role looked like back in 1985.
Charlie Sheen would have been too cool for school in that role. In my
he would have had
they should have had John Cusack. I think he would have been better.
He's still
okay. All right.
Because Charlie kind of reminds me of John Cusack a little bit.
I'm a big Cusack fan.
I'm gonna sip to that one, but
I'm gonna sip to that too.
That's
what my $2.
As far as the vampire films that came out during those times, I still have Lost Boys would probably be my 5. But this one I give it 4.5. It's a fun film to watch. It's not as serious as The Lost Boys is, but it's not meant to be. This is like, if you look at this film, you look at Teen Wolf, they're almost in the same kind of category. You know, the teenage horror subtle comedies. They're not in your face, you know, throwing crazy ass jokes. It's just the comedy is there, it's subtle, happens quick, move on to the next scene. Which you know, I like it. You know, that's what, if anything, that's what I like about it.
It's realistic comedy. It's not slapstick comedy. It's something that would happen in real life.
Let's try to get the joke in. Hold on for a couple seconds. Yeah. So overall, it's like I said, it's a comedy along the line with Teen Wolf, and it's not meant to be like over. Don't take it serious. Go into the film to watch it and enjoy it. 4.5.
4.5. Joe the psychologist, my brother. What you got?
All right. So again, it had been so long that I seen this movie. And we mentioned it before, is standing the test of time, and it did. Years later, I'm giving this a 5. Like, I'm just going with a 5 because it delivered all around. It still held the test of time. And, you know, vampire movies, which we have our live stream coming up about it, they're really hard to sometimes do. And this one was one of the top ones. Like, you know, it's up there. It's a great cast. Chris Sarandon was awesome. So this is a solid 5. And this is a 5 because if I would have rated it back then when I was younger, it might have been lower. But now my older self and appreciation of movies, special effects, storyline, straight up 5 for this one.
Brother, it's a 5 for me too. I'm the opposite though. If I compare this to like the new Fright Night and everything that comes out now with all the CGI, this movie is from '85. These special effects, man, are freaking great. They still hold up. It's got characters you love. Roddy McDowall's character as Peter Vincent, the gravitas he brings to this role. He starts off as a comedy character, a clown. He's a fake. He's an actor, a joke. But he turns into the hero by the end of the film. So you see his progression as a character study. You don't really get that as well now. When McDowall took the role, they originally wanted like a Vincent Price, but they couldn't get him. So they got McDowall. And McDowall's like, I can't do what he does. I'm like, come on, no one could do Vincent Price. So he added the slapstick element where he's like over the top. But it works so well in this film that it gives it the identity. You think of Fright Night, you think of Roddy McDowall's character, you think of Chris Sarandon's character, and you think of Evil Ed.
Yep.
Those are the three you talk about. And again, you mentioned before, the film has liberties. Like, I don't know his name. I forget. I don't even think did he even have a name? Like Jerry Dandridge is his ma'am guy, whatever that guy was.
Fuck. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's irrelevant.
But no, that was a familiar.
But
so kind of like he was
Renfield.
his Renfield.
I was gonna say that. Yes,
he was his Renfield.
He was his Renfield. So when he got shot, what was it? He got shot
a bunch of times,
and then he just turned into fucking goo, man.
Well, it was after that's when they stabbed him. I think they took
in the heart, right?
Yeah, they got him in the heart when they staked him.
The music when Charlie Bruce is looking through the window and he sees Jerry seducing that woman. He's pulling down her zipper. Looks at Charlie and he lowers the blind with his crazy ass long ass nails. The music in that scene, bro. I just want to have sex to that music, bro. It's so fucking good. Come on, you guys gotta admit. Come on, bro. That was the most seductive. If you want to seduce somebody, play that fuck. I need to find that song, bro. We're still talking about it in 2023, like if it came out now. But this is from '85, and this shits on most stuff that comes out today. Now, do any of you two got anything else to say before we wrap this up? You guys know who this is. The Pumpkin King. Skeleton Jack, right? Oh, it's scented. This motherfucker smells like pure pumpkin spice, bro. It's killing me. I hate that smell. I'm not
we're in pumpkin spice season
I
right
love
now.
October. I love October.
The spice stuff.
I'm not a pumpkin latte guy or pumpkin donuts. I hate that smell.
Pumpkin pie, yes.
I love pumpkin pie.
This guy's he's gotta go. He's gotta go. I can't take this smell.
I do like a pumpkin muffin though.
I like pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. But this pumpkin spice smell, whoo, that's gonna be it. I'm your boy Ricky Grimes, JR the boss, and Joe the fucking psychologist. We are the three corners of horror. Call back next week and remember, the live stream will be up next Thursday, Vampiros, and we do have a very special guest. In the meantime, stay good, stay healthy, stay well, but most of all, motherfuckers, watch horror movies and stay scared.